Hello, my name is Catherine and I make Notion templates and I also do some lifestyle vlogging. I am living in Kelowna, British Columbia in Canada, and welcome back. I have a brand new workout template to share with you guys today. So, little backstory. I recently got a Garmin. This is the Vivo Active 5. I love my Garmin, but there's one thing that irks me to no end, and that is its inability to show me useful information at a glance. I want a summary of my week and a summary of my year. I want to be able to do this really quickly. And it seems like my Garmin, at least, isn't really designed for gym goers. When I'm at the gym, I want to know at a glance what weight I used last time. It seems like that's something that my Garmin should tell me without me needing to go and search for that information. It really should just be information that's really easy to find. So I've built my own solution and I've spent some time building this. The wonderful thing about this workout tracker is that it shows me all kinds of really useful information at a glance. I can see a weekly summary and also a yearly summary of what I've been doing so far in 2025. And if you're not someone who tracks workouts, this is also a really, really great option for you. It is a tool to help you organize your fitness plan and see things on a calendar view or a table view, and to really just get kind of an overall holistic understanding of your fitness and what you've been doing every single week. So with all of that said, let's dive on in. Hey, welcome. I'm now going to exist in this little bubble on the bottom left corner of your screen. Welcome to my Life Hub. I have a video all about my Life Hub and walk through how this works. We are gonna hop on down to my growth header and we're gonna click on Do the Work. That is the name of my workout template. You can pin any sort of mood board or inspiration board, a vision board if you will, as your cover photo. And let's just start off with a quick overview of what the entirety of this page looks like before I dive into the specific details on how it works. So the first section in the top left is called the Quick Add section. And this is really useful, especially on mobile view. If you're on your phone and you want to quickly add a new workout, there's a bunch of different buttons for that. So we have a new week, which is essentially where each of the individual workouts will be housed under a specific week of the year. And then we have buttons for each of the different workout templates that I've created. So then you can collapse everything under this toggle and it just disappears, which is a really nice feature. In the center of the page, we have a goal. And this is where I would just write down in this text block my specific goals for the year. On the right-hand side, we have any PBs. So if you're into running or if you have any PBs with weightlifting, then this is where you would input all of this. I think I made up these numbers. You can put your 1K PB, your 5K PB, et cetera, et cetera. Scrolling down, we have on the left-hand side a daily workout log, and this is in a calendar view. This view is essentially just a way to look at your month and see what each week has been looking like. Have you been completing your workouts? What types of workouts have they been? And then there are actually other views as well. So you can click into these table views. One is called This Week and Next. And then if you wanted to look a bit further out, then you could also look at this month. And all of these views in the table here are grouped under weeks. Starting chronologically, we have the week of March 30th to April 5th. So it's really showing stuff even in the past. And you can just kind of see how many of the workouts you actually completed by week. So you can see we're partway through the week of April 20th to 26th. And so I've completed just over half of the workouts that I have planned for this week. So a nice, easy way to look at this information in a bunch of different views. And before we go over to the right-hand side, I'm actually going to scroll down to the weekly workout log section. This is where each of your weeks live, and within those is where your individual workouts will live. This view is called the ongoing view. This will hold any workouts that haven't been ticked off as archived, and you can see each week is represented in a gallery here. There is a cover photo, there is the name of the week, there is a goal, and then there's an archive button, as I explained a moment ago. If you archive a week, so I'm going to do that right now. That means it disappears from the ongoing view and you can actually find it again in the archive. So this view is called Archive This Year. There's also an archive view for all. So this is all of the weeks over all time and you can scroll through if you find that useful. And you can see some of your goals through the year and whether or not you've met some of your weekly goals that you've set. But if you wanted to unarchive something, you would just untick this box and it'll disappear back into your ongoing view. The final property that's shown here is a weekly goal. I will show you more on that in a second. And then all the way at the bottom, we have our reference databases. You do not want to delete these. This is essentially the master database for each of these views. And if you accidentally delete any of these, then your views aren't going to show up properly on this main page. So you want to make sure that you always keep these hidden under the toggle and you don't mess with them. And now the best part of this template. This is where I spent the majority of my hours building this template using formulas so that I can create a dashboard that gives you at a glance views so that you know at a moment's notice how you're doing this week and how you're doing this year. So on the top, we have a pretty simple chart. And if you're a free Notion user, you will get one of these charts. If you want to use more than one chart view, then you will need to upgrade to a paid plan. And my preference, if I was a free Notion user, I would suggest keeping this specific chart as your main chart because it really gives you a nice holistic view of the month, and it tells you how many workouts you've done for the month and the split between cardio training versus strength training versus flexibility training. So the way that you read this is 25 total. That represents the amount of workouts you've done. This is grouped by this month, and 16 of those have been cardio. 9 of those have been strength training. And so this is helpful because if you're really focused on maintaining an even split between cardio and strength training, then this is an easy way to know how you're doing for the month and whether you need to dial up or dial down in a specific area. For me, I haven't done any flexibility training. That's why it is not showing here. And so this is telling me that I really should be working in some yoga or some stretching into my fitness plan. There's also a view on this chart for the year, and then scrolling down. This is where the magic happens. We have our weekly fitness summary, and it will show you a breakdown of your current week. It has the dates of the week that you're currently in shown at the top. For this current week, I've completed 6 out of 12 planned workouts this week. I'm crazy. I don't know why I'm doing 12 workouts in the span of 7 days. Total workout time. We also have the total amount of calories burned. Then we have another heading called activity types. And so this helps you break down even further beyond cardio versus strength training versus flexibility, what kinds of exercises that you have planned. So if you're a runner, then this next section is really useful as well because it will tell you how many runs you've planned for the week and how many you've completed so far. It will find your best average pace, and it'll tell you your fastest overall time. It'll tell you your fastest 5K. And then on the template, I actually have an option for a 10K and a half marathon as well. And then it'll tally up the total distance that you've run this week. And then scrolling down, we also have a yearly summary. So this is going to tell you information about this year as a whole rather than just this week. And then finally, I'm going to show you what the 2025 or yearly fitness summary actually looks like if you click into it. You can click into it by selecting the block. If you scroll down, you'll actually see there's even more information. And again, I'm going to warn you about the charts. If you have a free plan, this first section with all of these different views likely won't work for you because with a free plan on Notion, you can only have one chart. But I will say this chart is extremely useful because it breaks everything down even more in depth. Under the types this year, this breaks down each subcategory of the different workouts that you've done this year so far. The next view shows the best average pace by month. Again, this is for running, so it will show you based on the month how your average pace has been trending. So I love to see this because it shows my progress over time. And these other two views as well are also sort of geared towards runners. Best average pace by week, if you want an even more granular view of how your pace has been trending. Best time by month is more about duration of your runs, and so again, it's grouped by month, and you can see how long are your average runs. You would see this would start to dip month over month as you get faster. And then scrolling down, this is also extremely useful. This is a table view of all of your different weeks, and it's grouped by month as well. So if you open up these toggles, you can see the different weeks and all of the information that you have input at the end of each week. So you can really see holistically how you've been doing for the month of March. And you know, while I like to call this a yearly summary page, it actually also really does a great job of showing you month over month how you're doing. So it is also a monthly summary page. You can see how many workouts you finished in the month of March, calories burned this month, 6,800, how many kilometers you ran this month. It makes all of this information really digestible. So all of this information I find really, really useful to look at because it gives me everything that I find important at a glance. Let's actually get into creating a new week and starting to plan workouts. So let's scroll on down to the weekly workout log section of the page. And as you can see, I already have this week and next week already planned out, and we're gonna wanna make a new week. So if I wanted to create a brand new week, I could either go up to this blue button in the top right called New, or I could just click on New Page, and clicking that tile will pop open a brand new week. So we'll want to name this accordingly. And what I like to do, I actually like to go and select the dates property first so that I can actually see the dates that I want to plan for. So I know that I want to plan for the second week of May. So May 4th, I want to turn on an end date so that I can set one. And I want the end date to be the 10th. The way that my weeks are set up are always from a Sunday to a Saturday. You are welcome to set them up in any way that you would choose, but I tend to prefer this way because that's how it shows up on the calendar. Once I've set that, I can now name the week. I'm going to call it week of May 4th to 10th. And you'll see that there's an icon that is automatically populated here. Once a week has been completed, I will usually update this icon, and I can walk through that later. You'll remember I showed you there is a goal property which shows up in this view. I like to italicize it, and I will write what my goal is for the week. So say I want to run 4 times this week, and that will be my goal for the week. The next 2 properties are automatically populated properties that will fill out as soon as you start ticking off workouts. The weekly goal property is something that you can customize. So my weekly goal, when I think about an average week, I would like to work out at minimum 4 times a week. But if you wanted to change that, say you want to work out 3 times a week or 5 times a week, then all you need to do is actually go into the formula. You can click in and you would just change this denominator to be 5 or 3 or whatever your minimum goal would be. Planned workouts is a bit of a different formula. This is based on how many workouts I've actually added into the calendar for the week, and it is going to calculate based on that many workouts how many I've actually completed. And so while at a minimum I want to work out 4 days a week, my planned workout schedule might be more than that, or it might be less than that. And so this is something that I like to track a bit separately because sometimes and oftentimes I'm working out more than 4 days a week. The other thing you can do with your week of is a fun way to personalize it by adding a cover photo. So I like to go in and find a cover on Unsplash, and I typically relate it to the goal. If I know that I want to run 4 times this week, then I'm probably going to put an image of a runner. Perfect, looks just like me. That will be the cover image that will then show here, and it gives you a nice look at what your focus is for the week. There are some properties that are going to be hidden here, but you do not need to worry about those, and you can keep them hidden under a toggle. So this top area is the general area, and then there's actually a section called wrap up. So once you've finished the week, then this is where you would input some information. We're going to skip that for now. We're going to scroll down, and you're going to see there is a table here, and there's also a calendar view. And this is going to be where you plan your workouts. This is always when you're starting out with this template, I really suggest going into the week where you want to plan and starting from here. And so you can go and look at the calendar view. Say today I want to do a 5K run. I can add it here, 5K run. Or if you'd rather, you can go into the table view and you can click into new page here and add a run here, 5K run. Okay, popping back into the run that we just created. The best first thing to do here is scroll down to the actual page content, and you can add the specific type of exercise that you are doing. We have all kinds of different options, and we are going to select the one that says run. One caveat here, when you are inputting any sort of run, you want to just make sure that the title of the run does have the word run in it. This is just for the purpose of the weekly summary and the yearly summary. The formulas that are in that summary are going to look for the word run. So just make sure you include it in the title in some way. See that there's some information that's already been populated. So because you added it from the calendar view in this case, you will see that the date is set as today. But if you click in, you can change the date to whatever date you'd like. As long as it's within this week, it will work out fine. And as you can see, because we filled in this run from the weekly view, the week has already been populated automatically for you. Now you can see that this specific run has been properly linked to the parent week that it belongs to, which is the week that we just created from May 4th to May 10th. Fitness category, this will typically automatically populate, but we can click into it and see that there are 3 different exercises: cardio, strength training, and flexibility. And there's also a subcategory called type. So within cardio, what kind of workout is it? Is it an upper body workout? Is it a lower body, full body, HIIT, LISS, yoga, or Pilates? Because this is a run, let's say today we're doing a zone 2 training run. I'm gonna put this in as a low intensity, steady state run. And then you can also select the workout location. I'm gonna run outdoors, but there's an option for gym, home, outdoors, or studio. So that's all of the basic information you need to add when you're creating a new workout. And then there is a post-workout section as well. So once I've finished my workout, the first thing I'll do is I'll come into the run and I will mark it off as done. I will also go into the post-workout section and add any information that is relevant to that specific workout. So if I went for my run and I burned 325 calories, minute, second duration, 33 minutes and 20 seconds. And just a note for this property, when you are adding it, you want to add it as minutes before the decimal point and then seconds after the decimal point, and you'll know that you're doing it right because this duration property will automatically fill once you've added it in. And the reason that I created this property this way to be minutes and seconds is because I didn't want to have to do the math every single time if I wanted this property to be in minutes only. I wanted it to be really simple to look at, to input. I didn't want to have to divide by 60 to figure out how many seconds of the minute. So this was the easiest way, and I really like how quick and easy it is to input. Distance, this is in kilometers, so I will put 5. Minute second average pace. Again, this is the same format as the minute second duration. We want to put in what your average pace was, 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Again, you'll know you did it right if the average pace auto-populates with the correct time, 6 minutes and 2 seconds. The next few properties are some additional properties that are optional. You can add any notes like, okay, I felt really strong this run. If you like to do weigh-ins after a workout, you can add your body weight, and you can also pin this workout. And really what that does is it adds a little pin icon. This is just a way to highlight a specific run. It was like a PB run, you might want to pin that. And then really what it does is on the calendar view, you will be able to see any runs that have been marked with a pin. And then there's a little bit more information on the content of the page. If you wanted to add this on your run, for example, there is a location, and I like for my runs to know what kind of surface it was, if it was pavement or a gravel trail. And then yeah, you're done. If you click out, you can actually see that that 5K run has populated here in the calendar view, which is awesome. So once I've finished a week, I'll want to do my wrap up. So this is where I'll input some information. This is number of days. Each of these stars represents a day. So if you look and you see that you worked out 2 days this week, then you would put 2 stars to represent 2 days. If I worked out 7 days this week, I would put 7 stars. So this is just really a fun visual way to represent how many days of the week you actually worked out. If you want to add in your body weight at the end of the week, then that's an option here. And then there's actually a bunch of properties that will have calculated some information based on the individual workouts. So calories this week, this formula will sum up all of the calories that you've burned between the 2 runs this week. So in this case, I burned 614 calories. It will tally up the amount of distance that you ran this week. So 10 kilometers because I ran 2 5Ks. And then the fun part is it actually rolls up your best average pace between the runs that you did this week and the best time I ran. There's a best 5K, 10K, and then the template will also have a best half marathon time. Because I didn't do a 10K this week, this is going to just be 0. And then finally, we have the total time spent working out this week. So I spent 1 hour and 3 minutes working out this week. If you want to add any wrap-up notes from the week. And then that's everything you really need to do beyond ticking off this archive checkbox. But what I do like to do is I like to change this icon once something has been completed. I go into the icon section and then I will select a checkmark circle. And if I hit my goal for the week of how many days, so I like to hit 4 days a week. If I hit 4 days, then I would select the green checkmark. If not, I like to put a little gray checkmark. And that just tells me at a glance, okay, I didn't hit my goal this week, and I can click in later and figure out why. But I just like to sort out which weeks where I've actually hit my goal versus where I haven't. So let's just say for the purpose of this example, I only did 2 workouts this week. Those were my 2 runs. I'm gonna keep the check mark as a gray check mark, and then I'm gonna hit the archive box. What that does is it files the week away. It's no longer showing under ongoing, but but it will show under archive this year. We're gonna hop back into the week and I'm gonna show you an example of a different type of workout. This is gonna be an upper body workout and it's gonna happen on Saturday. I'm gonna scroll down and create an upper body strength training workout and I'm gonna rename it. As you can see, some information again has been filled in already. Strength training and upper body workout has been populated for you. I'm gonna select the workout location as gym, and that is all the high level information I need to add. But scrolling down, this is where gym sessions or any sort of strength training session is set up a little bit differently on the content side of the workout page. So as you can see here, there is actually a built-in function that I've created to help you plan your workouts. And what's great about this is that I've added an entire exercise database, whether it's a bench press or a squat. I have a selection of exercises that you can choose from, and you can tailor them to be a superset, an every minute on the minute, an AMRAP, a Tabata, or even just a rest period. You can customize your workout. I'm gonna create a single exercise, and we're gonna start off with pull-ups, and then I can actually look for pull-up. So this is where a database comes in, where I've added a bunch of really common exercises, and you are welcome to add your own exercises to this. Typically pull-ups are just body weight, so there won't be any weight with this, but I can add the sets and reps. So say, let's do 4 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Weight is just gonna be body weight, so I'm not gonna input there. Max weight, I'll get to that in a second. Time, that's not useful here. Any notes, and then there's a URL to a specific video that shows you how to do the exercise on YouTube. And then there's also a muscle group that will automatically populate if you're pulling it from the database that I've created. And then we're gonna add a rest. There is a 90-second rest period between sets, so I'm going to add 90 seconds. And so this is basically a really easy way to plan your exercises. It does take a little bit of time up front to set up, but I typically go and sit on my computer and plug all of this into my workout ahead of time before hitting the gym. And then I can just look on my phone as I'm at the gym to figure out how many sets and reps I should be doing and how much weight. Speaking of weights, let's add a superset that requires some weight. So I'm going to click on the Create Superset button, and that's going to create 2 exercises for a superset. So we are first going to pull in a barbell row. As you can see, it's showing up here. And then we are going to pull in a dumbbell fly. So I'm gonna type in dumbbell fly. We are gonna pull in the standing dumbbell chest fly. Say we're only doing 3 sets here, 10 reps of each. And you can see that the max weight has actually been automatically populated. So as you do these workouts and you add your specific weight that you've used, what Notion does is it's actually gonna show you, based on other times you've done this specific exercise, what your max weight was. So that makes it really, really easy the next time you do this exercise to scale up and to understand, okay, I lifted a 50-pound barbell last time I did a barbell row. So this time I'll start with at least 50, but maybe I'll go up even higher and I will go to 60. So into the weight section in pounds, you could then input 60. And guess what? The max weight here is gonna update so that next time when you pull in this exercise, you're gonna know, okay, last time my max weight was 60 and I can start there. And then the same thing with the standing dumbbell chest fly. I can see that my max weight was 25. If I wanted to do 30 this time, I could. Again, we have another rest. So I'm gonna put a 60-second rest. There's all kinds of other buttons. There's AMRAP, there's every minute on the minute. There's a Tabata, which includes a rest period of 10 seconds in the Tabata format. And then if you just wanted to add a rest manually, you can do it that way. So I really love this, and I just find it really intuitive so that you can up your weights every week or every month. And I think it's gonna be really, really useful for you. So that's how you add weeks and exercises. If you would like to add a workout from this master view, this really nice view on the overall calendar, the one thing that I would recommend is making sure that you link it to the proper week. So that means you will need to make sure that you've created the week. And when you create a new workout from this view, you'll want to click this little plus sign. You can add in the name of the run, choose the template that you'd like, and you'll notice when you add it from this view that the week is empty. And so this is extremely important. If you want anything to track properly on the summary views, you will want to make sure it is linked to a specific week. So you can always just click in, find the week, that you are looking for, so May 4th to 10th. And just make sure that this property is not left blank if you want this to work properly on your template. And the final feature I would like to showcase is the quick add. Now that we've gone through how the system works on the back end, how you should always create a week, and then from there create individual workouts within those weeks, I will also, of course, show you the quick add option and how it works. So you are welcome to create a new week by clicking here, and you would follow the same steps as what I showed you before. Essentially, if you click this button, it's going to pop open a new week. You would name it accordingly, fill out all the information, and then you can start adding your runs or your workouts, what have you. You can also add a new workout by clicking any of these buttons. I'm going to click new HIIT workout. It's going to pop open a brand new HIIT workout with some information already filled in. But again, I warn you, please always fill in this week property. It is important that you assign a workout to a specific week if you'd like this to work properly, but then you will just follow all of the same steps as before. So that is in essence my workout tracker. I hope you find this useful. And I just love all of the features that I've customized to show you how you're doing at a glance without having to look too hard for those things. And I think it's gonna be really, really helpful and transformative for you. That was a very in-depth look at my workout tracker, and I hope you guys love it. If you are interested in using this workout tracker and you think it would be a good fit in your life, I do have the link to this template in the description. I'm making it quite affordable to download this template and just taking into account all the hours I put into these custom formulas to make all of these at-a-glance views work seamlessly for you guys. And if you download the template, I have some instructions on how to work the template so that you know how to get started. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram or leave a comment on the video, and I will do my very best to get back to you with any answers. Thank you so much for watching. I am also going to be coming out with a wedding planning template and a bachelorette planning template because these are all very topical in my life right now. I know there are a lot of brides out there like me who really just need a system to help cover themselves as they're going through this insanely busy time in their lives of planning a wedding. Stay tuned for that, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you find this template helps you.